Greetings, fellow quitters, and welcome back to the Command Q podcast. We're your hosts. I'm Maari Casey.
And I'm John Pelfrey.
The pace of life might have slowed down for the summer, but we are still quitting. Today's Quick Quit might raise your blood pressure a little. We're talking about quit being a jerk driver.
I'm not a jerk driver. I don't know what you're talking about. I've never done anything wrong on the road. I'm the perfect driver.
We're not jerk. So do you think that jerk drivers know that they're jerk drivers?
No. Generally speaking, I do not think they do. I think most people are just distracted and they don't realize that they're in someone else's way. They're just not thinking of it at all. So you can call them inconsiderate, but I don't think that they're necessarily purposefully being jerks. There are, of course, exceptions to every rule. And there are certainly people out there. Look, if you're driving 100 miles an hour down an interstate, weaving in and out of traffic, you know you're being a jerk. Those people for sure.
Yeah.
But, you know, the person like accidentally cuts you off, unless they're doing that over and over again, they're probably distracted.
Yeah. And sometimes you do stuff where you just like I was trying to pull out of my daughter's friend's neighborhood and there was a big bush there and I couldn't see around. It was like bad landscaping. So it was jerk landscaping, but I kind of was, and I went out and I ended up pulling out in front of a car that was coming and he honked at me and I was like, it's my bad. I didn't see him. I wasn't trying to be a jerk or inconsiderate or anything. It was just I couldn't see. Sometimes that stuff just happens. Mm-hmm. I think there are definitely people out there that are just jerk drivers. And they're, usually what happens is, this is me thinking how their brain is operating is I should be getting there first and you're slowing me down. They're moving through things too quickly. And so any kind of slowdown to their goal of getting here faster or getting here first or getting in front is enough to make them frustrated. The thing that gets me is as soon as the light turns green, there's this honk, honk, honk. I've got my foot hovering over the pedal and I'm about to IndyCar speed off into 540. That's how I'm just come on, dude. Take a breath. We're going to make this light, you and me together.
Yeah. I think people that are in a hurry, again, some of them might know that they're being a jerk driver and they don't care, but I still think it goes back to that whole, they're just not thinking outside of themselves. And
selfish.
That's more selfish driving. It's more, I got to get somewhere. I got to be somewhere. I remember my driver's ed teacher was a great driver's ed teacher. And he had a lot of really good little things that he said. But, one of them was basically that you can't make up the time. If you're running late, you can't make up the time on the road. The only thing you can do is hurt yourself or hurt someone else in the process. And that's really, really true. It's like if you do the math and you're going to drive 15 miles somewhere and you're late by 10 minutes, you're late. Done. You're late. Yeah. You're not going to get there faster. So text or call the person, say, I'm going to be 15 minutes late or I'm going to be 20 minutes late and get there when you need to get there. And if you're late for work, get up earlier. Yeah.
Yeah. It's the people who don't leave any kind of margin for things to happen that are always the ones that are speeding or cutting through things. And I had a driver's ed teacher say something very similar. And it was basically the idea that, when you're in 4 lanes of traffic and this lane starts to move, then you're okay, I'm in this lane. And then this lane starts moving, go in this lane. They said that lane hopping does not get you there quicker. Just stay in the same lane and you'll get there the same time. And it's 100% true. Yeah. You feel like you're making progress, but you're really just moving around on the same board that's going the same speed.
Yeah, get in the lane you need to get into and sit there and just be patient.
Just be patient.
There's a couple really, really terrible merges in our area. And one of them is an RTP when you're on the Durham Freeway 147 and you're merging onto 40. And everyone who's ever driven that thing knows. What happens is the people who have not driven it very often, they get there late and think, oh, I'm just going to go down and around. And it backs everything up. Just get in the left lane. We're all going to be through this in about 3 to 5 minutes. It's okay.
We're in this together, guys.
We're all in it together, and it's the same thing for any kind of merge or zippering. I think people just don't understand the concept of what it means to merge and to be patient. And if we're all patient, then we can get in and get out and get done. And this is a good argument for autonomous driving. And this is where, I agree 100%.
Are there any jerk robots in the future?
Yeah, well,
jerk robot
so
drivers.
The robots would know and understand the optimal distance needed from the next robot in order to get the traffic through as quickly as possible. And they can do that math and they can communicate with each other to make that better. And it would eliminate a lot of gridlock. While people hate on autonomous driving because they're like, I'll always be able to drive better than a robot. The answer is in about 5 years, no, you won't. and you'll be able to get there faster and easier. And I am going to embrace autonomous driving once it comes along. In fact, one of the reasons why I haven't bought a fancy new vehicle is that I don't want to be the person who buys the vehicle and then like 2 months later it's announced like, oh yeah, fully autonomous driving for all of these different car brands and everything. I'll sit there and go like, well, my car's worthless now.
You're saving up for your autonomous car.
I can't. I'm like fear of missing out. But I want it mostly because I think that a future in 20, 30 years, like gridlock will be a joke. People will laugh at. This will be a possibility and an opportunity. You know, another thing is that construction and construction zones and school zones and places like that are places of tension, right? Like the minute you see a construction sign in a construction zone, it's like, oh, there's going to be a slowdown. And there's always construction everywhere. But this is another example where technology has helped us out a lot. Like I know how to get most places in the area that I live in, but I always put my Google Maps GPS on. And the reason for that is it has real-time traffic data and it will reroute me to the fastest way.
That's amazing.
And so there's no more sitting and waiting and going like, I wonder where the accident is, or should I get off on this exit and go around? Or like it just tells you, and it's wonderful. Like I'm not gonna knock it at all. It's one of the greatest inventions of the last 20, 30 years. It's like real-time GPS. It's incredible. And it's free.
Yeah.
You know, so
like kind of so like as because we live in the Triangle, so we're in a city, we're in an area that's hyper growth, lots of people moving here from different areas. You know, we always say like, hey, we're Southern, like slow down, like we don't need to be honking at the green light. And there is a little bit of that difference. And you go to a city, you go to like Dallas, or you go to like, you know, New Jersey, and everyone drives differently where they are. And I think there's a little bit of that kind of culture drive mixing that's happening. But what would you suggest, knowing that as cities grow, if you live in an area that's growing, there's going to be more and more people on the road, varying levels of driving. Like, how do you prepare? Like, I just drove all the way to Florida, so going on 95 is terrifying. But like, we were prepared to know that it was going to take us extra long because there's going to be accidents. People are going to do dumb things. But like, how do you prepare when you know you're getting in situations where there's going to be a lot of different drivers on the road?
Well, so first I want to go back to your talk about Southerners versus Northerners. There's this real gut part of me as a person who's grown up in the South his entire life to want to agree with you on that. But then again, I have to realize that North Carolinians actually invented NASCAR. And we are not immune to driving fast on the road. If you ever drive around Charlotte, you know this is true. Everyone thinks they're a freaking NASCAR driver, and they're all trying out to be on it. I do think that driving fast is part of Southern culture as well. It's just we used to do it on the dirt roads and not on the highways. But I will say that, the more people are in an area, the more opportunities there are for things to go wrong. Like it's just simple math. The more cars you put on the road, the busier they get, the more likely it is someone makes a mistake somewhere, or the more likely it is that a construction thing that puts you down to one lane, you've just got even more cars that you've got to funnel from 3 lanes down to 1 lane, instead of if you're in a smaller area where it's 2 lanes and you got to funnel it to 1. Not as big of a deal, but the more lanes you have on the road, the more you have to funnel the cars in. There's more cars. It creates more problems. So I don't know. The answer to that is probably that we all just need to have a little bit more patience, maybe find some alternate routes that you can take that don't put you on the busy roads all the time. That's one of my favorite things to do. I know sometimes it might take me 5 or 10 minutes extra to drive through a country road or whatever, but it's a more pleasant experience. And so I'll do that a lot.
Yeah, I love driving on the back roads. It's much more, you're like, oh, this is here. Like, oh, it's just kind of like discovering the things around you, and then hopefully avoiding the backup and all that kind of stuff, avoiding the jerk drivers. What do you do? So I know what I do in this situation, but when you see somebody like weaving in and out, or like, I hate when I see people speed right up on somebody and like they're tailgating. What do you do when you see that situation happening around or in front of you on the road?
I slow down. I'm a very defensive driver because I have no desire to get into a wreck. I've been in wrecks in my life and I'm not interested in doing that again. So I tend to slow down and let those people get past me so that I can see them and be prepared for their stupidity. That's my reaction. And if they're on my tail, I will slow down so that they'll go away. Don't ever brake check someone. That's a stupid, dumb idea. But just slow down enough that it will annoy them and they'll leave you alone. It's the classic case to me of like the bully in the playground or whatever. Like, just ignore them but be aware of them. You definitely need to know where they are on the road, but I just want to get away from them. And the easiest way to get away from them is not to race them down the road. It's to let them get past you.
No.
They're-
Yeah. I'm 100% like get into the right lane, back up and get
Yeah.
away, because especially with like road rage and that kind of stuff, this person, if somebody is like aggressive in their car, then that's not somebody you want to mess with. They're either having a really bad
Yep.
day or there's something not right with them. And so you chasing them, or I've had people like follow people home and I'm like, 100% no way, not worth it. Like, let them go be mad by themselves and get out of the way. Because I do think that when someone is putting other people in harm's way, which a lot of times when they're super aggressive jerk drivers, I mean, they're essentially saying like, I don't care about my life or the people around me. And there'll be bad accidents because of that kind of stuff. So as soon as you can get yourself out of the situations to where you won't be in the middle of an accident that this person's about to cause, like the better. Just get out of there and let them go spiral as they drive 90 down the interstate.
And also, that's sort of an exclusive to America problem, but you never know who has a gun and if they might be willing to use it on that day because they're angry or whatever. But it's true. You never know. Or at the very least, a baseball bat or a tire iron or who knows what else. Sometimes people lose control of their emotions, and it's just best.
You're probably not going to have a roadside conversion by chasing them and be like, oh, you're right. I'm a bad driver. I'm really sorry. That's not going to happen.
They're definitely not. You're not going to change their mind. Just let them go on, move on. They don't make someone else's problem your problem. That's one of the things that I tend to think a lot. But I am like I said, a very defensive driver. Like, it's sort of a joke in my family how much of a defensive driver that I am. I will, go faster than the speed limit, but not by a lot. And, like all those things, but I'm always on the lookout, just because I don't want to. It hurts to be in a car accident. It really hurts.
Yeah.
Physically, monetarily, it sucks.
It's not good. And if you're worried about being slowed down because people are going too slow around you and you're inconvenienced, have a car accident and then you're super inconvenienced. I think, one of the questions is like, if you don't know you're a jerk driver, how do you realize you are? And then how do you convert to, how do you make that change? And I think as when you're young and you start driving, there's that little bit of invincibility complex where you're like, I can do everything, and I see this with some teenagers in my neighborhood who are great kids, no clue that it should be 25 because there's little kids playing. I think as you get older, you start to realize the danger. You're in a moving brick that could kill people I got hit by a car as a pedestrian. So I understand the dangers of vehicles, but it's like I think as you get older, you start to realize that. But if you are somebody who is in a car and is constantly frustrated, constantly mad, constantly late, then chances are you're probably making some negligent calls, whether it's speeding or cutting people off or doing a U-turn where you shouldn't do. So I think it's like, if you can be aware of those things, that's probably the first step to helping you like make some changes to where your driving is maybe not as dangerous.
Yeah. I mean, I would say if you get behind the wheel of a car, more often than not, your blood pressure goes up and you feel stressed. You're probably part of the problem, not part of the solution. Like, driving doesn't have to be stressful. It doesn't have to be a thing that gets you angry. And if you're yelling at people through the window or yelling at yourself or raising your voice at all, just check yourself, turn on some calming music, maybe take a few deep breaths. It's fine. But definitely leave the house ahead of time, ahead of when you need to be there. The old adage, if you're 10 minutes early, then you're late. Maybe put that into your brain a little bit. That kind of thing. Give yourself 10-minute cushion, 15-minute cushion, depends on where you live. If you live in Atlanta, give yourself a 2-hour cushion, whatever.
Leave now.
Just do the math. I mean, when I lived in Nashville, even in the 90s in college, there were certain roads that, it would take you 45 minutes to go 2 miles or 3 miles, 90s. I can't imagine what it's like there now, but we just knew it and it was just accepted. And so you go, okay, well, if I have to go down that particular road to get to where I need to go, then I need to leave like an hour early to go 3 miles. And it seems crazy, but there's no other solution to that problem.
Yeah.
You're not going to drive through the cars that are sitting still on the road.
It's true. We can't do that.
Although,
unless we all have helicopter vehicles.
So one little jerk driver thing that does drive me insane and crazy is if you're on the interstate and the cars are backed up and you get the moron who decides to get on the shoulder usually with this four-wheel drive pickup truck that is way too large for everything else. That guy gets on the shoulder and decides he's going to make a new lane. No.
Right. Yeah.
Just no.
I just assume that they have an emergency and they need to get to the hospital. I'm like, oh, I hope that person's okay. It's just something is dire in this person's life that they have to pass everybody.
But once they start, then other people start. It's a whole thing.
Yeah.
But I'm also not going to be the one that gets over and blocks the shoulder because that's also stupid. Let an 18-wheeler do that. Nobody messes with those things. And be kind to your tractor trailer drivers. Those people have a hard job. Do not tailgate them. You're asking for trouble.
No,
And so
give
don't
them
cut
as
them
much
off
space as possible.
because they drive like giant, huge trucks and they can't just brake like you can. Like, just be cool. All right. So lightning round question. Can you parallel park?
I can parallel park. And I'll tell you why. When I took my first driver's test, I failed it because I couldn't parallel park. And so I spent so much time working on parallel parking my mom's minivan that when I went to my test, I just was like crushed it. And so now I'm a pretty confident parallel parker.
Nice. With a minivan too. That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Yeah. It was next level.
Yeah. I like to think that I'm a pretty good parallel parker. There are times when I will try to avoid it as much as possible, but when I need to, I can definitely do it. I know how to do it. My first car was a little tiny car and it was really easy to parallel park. But then we also had one of those 80s conversion vans, the big ones, bed in the back and the whole thing that we would take on long trips and stuff. And so my dad took me out in that after I've been driving for about a year. He took me out in that and he's like, okay, now you got to learn to parallel park this. And that you can't see out the sides of the back. You can only parallel park with the side mirrors. And
yeah, that's next level.
Yeah, that's next level. And that taught me I'm pretty confident I can parallel park. There was a time when I could parallel park with a trailer and that I couldn't do that now. I can't do that now. But there was a time when I could do that. Yeah. All right. So think back when you first learned to drive, were you too cautious or too confident?
I was pretty cautious. I wasn't overly confident. I mean, I probably was versus where I am now. There's things you don't know when you first learn to drive until you make a mistake. And you just kind of hope that either that mistake is a really small mistake or someone's looking out for you. I definitely made a couple of those.
Yeah,
sure.
I was definitely too confident. You don't know what you don't know until you're in the situation. And And so, yeah, there were definitely times when I was too confident and I just didn't know any better, but I was never really speeding necessarily. I was just doing other things like I flooded my car once because I drove across a road where I couldn't see the bottom of, I couldn't see the asphalt. And so I flooded the car. That was dumb. And I was too confident that I could make it through that space. And then I lost that car. That was a bummer. My dad was very, very understanding. I'm not sure I would be quite as understanding. So thank you very much, Dad. But yeah, I was way too confident. All right. How important is it to you to do like the thank you wave or when, I guess this is when you're at a stoplight or something. And somebody lets you out and you go, hey, thank you.
Yeah. I always try to do that. Like, even if you're not looking, I just kind of do like this. My husband, he'll go next door. He'll roll his window down and do that, stick it out the window. But I think it's good. I think it's shows that you notice that they did something that was kind. So I think that's nice.
I think so too. And especially if you're in a busy, like on the interstate and there's a bunch of cars and you need to get over in a lane to get out on an exit or something like that. And somebody lets you in, it's definitely nice to wave your hand and say thank you. I know I appreciate that when people do that for me. And also, by the way, if a tractor trailer does that to you, they will do that by blinking their lights at you. Just so you know, they're not mad at you. They're saying thank you when you let them in. They will blink their taillights at you when you let them in. And that means thank you. Yeah. So if you ever let a tractor trailer, and I definitely think you should, then when they blink those taillights at you, that's their way of saying thank you. I learned that one when I was young too. It's good to help people out, but yeah, that's always what they're doing there in that case. And if they blink their headlights at you and you're ahead of them, that means it's okay for you to get in front of them. So just know that one as well. That's a tiny little one there. My dad used to spend a lot of time on the road driving and he would talk on the CB. This was old school to those guys and stuff.
Yeah.
He used to fancy himself a traveler of sorts. All right. Well, thank you so much for listening today. If you've enjoyed this Quick Quit series, we have a couple of other episodes. You can go into our back catalog and listen to those. We've decided to do this in the summer as a way to just have a different change of pace, and we've really enjoyed it. And I think we might keep doing this in the future. So if you have any ideas of any other topics or Quick Quit ideas for us, then you can go to commandqpodcast.com. And you can leave a little note for us on that page and give us some ideas. You can also join the community of Proud Quitters we have there. And you can see our whole library and list with links to Spotify or Apple Podcasts or YouTube. And those are the 3 different places that you can find us. So if you want to check out our lovely faces at some point and not just listen to us, then you can certainly try that on YouTube as well. Great. Well, this has been a lot of fun, but now we got to run. So until next time, dad rhyme. Until next time. This is John.
And this is Maari.
And we're reminding you that quitters can win and winners can quit. This podcast is for informational purposes only and does not constitute medical, legal, or financial advice. The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed are the guest's own and do not necessarily represent the views, thoughts, and opinions of Command Q or Uncompany.